Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to a very special episode of the MitsuTimes podcast. My guests today are Tim and Carl. They are the promoters, the producers, the heroes of Mitsubishi Owners Days. How are you guys today?
Great. How are you?
I am great. Glad to have you on. Obviously, big fan of the event when the Mitsubishi North America owned the event and stuff, and you guys seem to be keeping that legacy alive. We're very appreciative of that.
Yep, we're trying to continue the legacy that started a number of years back now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for people hearing about Mitsubishi Owners Day for the first time, give us the overview of what the event's all about.
So ideally, it's carrying over the event that Mitsubishi Motors North America used to host back in California back in 2005. In 2006, they expanded the event to the central location, which was the Normal, Illinois factory. And then in 2010, they expanded it to the Swedesboro, New Jersey office. So that would be the East Coast mod. So since 2010, they've been running 3 events. West Coast mod, which was their main office, Central Mod, which was Normal, Illinois, and East Coast Mod, which was in New Jersey. And then between 2010 and 2018, they would move it around New Jersey and to various places where, because of how it expanded over time, it actually ended up at Philly Stadium in Philadelphia. So overall, I think the best turnout they had between the 3 events was like 1 year where they had 1,500 cars and 2,500 people show up to the event. So then when you get there, you would get a welcome packet where you would get a free raffle ticket, you would get a voucher for free food, and you would get a free t-shirt. And also there would be a bunch of things to do. So you walk around and look at everybody's cars. There would be a bunch of support companies there, like Rockford Fosgate would have their sound van there, so that, if you survive 60 seconds in the sound van, you would get a free t-shirt. And then they'd have a bunch of raffles. And a lot of raffles. They'd have parts for almost every car that they made or the current car that they make. And you could put in for your raffle ticket. And I think that's the most time I spent waiting for people to win raffles. But that was a real big draw. And then at the end of the show, they give out awards for, the judge's choice and best of Lancer, Galant, Evo, 3000 GT, Eclipse, that kind of thing. And then, you could hang out and take pictures with other members and other owners, and that would be it for the day. It was a 3-hour show. It was a great way to meet other owners, and it was a great way for them to give back to the community and just to show that they're supporting not just the modding community, but also the soccer mom and anybody else who just has it that they use for a daily driver.
I went to the one in Normal many years ago, and it was a lot of fun. And for me, getting to see the DSM factory was so cool. It felt like I was, home, getting to see where my beloved car was made. So that was cool.
It was a great event. I spent a good amount of time working with their head of PR to try and get more people there, because I used to run help run a cruise from Connecticut down to the show in Camden, New Jersey.
Okay. So after Mitsubishi Motors North America kind of stopped doing the event, what inspired you guys to keep the event going?
So I don't know if Carl has been to the one Minnesota. I think that is the longest running somewhat Mitsubishi Owners Day type event. They run something called the Mitsubishi Cookout every August. And that's been running for, I think this year was their 22nd or 23rd year. It'll happen in August, but essentially I started doing one up here in Connecticut when I was, as the Lancer Nation one, we did a mini one just to see how it would go, because we were unsure if they were going to do it in 2019. Then when COVID happened, that was in the middle of when Mitsubishi North America was moving from their headquarters in California to Kentucky. Oh, sorry, Kentucky or Tennessee? I can't remember. Yeah, Tennessee. Yeah, that's where I got it. Franklin, Tennessee. And then when they moved is when COVID hit. They were in the middle of prepping to prepare to do the event. There was going to be this huge thing. the new headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee, and then COVID hit, and then everything was shut down for a year, and they were still deciding what to do in 2022. They went through a couple PR reps within that time between 2017 and 2019, 2020. And then when it came back, they were just not interested. The whole company decided to go a different way with what they were building for the crossovers and whatnot. And that's pretty much it. I've been doing one since 2019, and then COVID hit, and then when it came back after 2 years, when everybody was comfortable to come outside, I've been doing it and since 2022, 23, ever since.
I know the community is very thankful for your efforts.
It's good to see so many doing these events. I'm not the only one who does it. There used to be another one called Mitsu Fest down in Florida, the Mitsubishi Owners Meet down in Florida, which stopped running in 2024 or 2023 and just couldn't get going for 24 or 25. Then SoCal Evos runs something that is about the exact same thing out in California as well, which looks like a really awesome event. I'd like to get out to one day.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of that one. That's pretty cool too. And I went to the one in Florida probably the year or two before it kind of stopped, and it was a great time too. Plus the scenery was awesome.
Right, and that's the one that was run by Tommy Talon, right? Yep. Cool.
So how did this idea starting in 2019 go from, this could be something cool to becoming, this full on real organized event?
Well, I was originally trying to what we were doing, what Mitsubishi Motors North America was doing. So I just put one together with a dealership up in Connecticut in Hartford. And the dealership, the guy who bought the dealership was super gung-ho about doing something that could bring the community together. So we ran it. It was a beautiful sunny day. We had a good turnout. And then like the week after it was over, I started getting messages, "Are you going to do it again next year? I would love to come back." And it just kind of, unfortunately, COVID happened the year after. We ran a couple others before that just to try it out, just like all Mitsubishi events, like 2018, I think. I'm losing a little bit of my history. But it got from the people who used to go to the original one all the way to the one we're doing, people remembered what the feeling was like to go. And they wanted to get that feeling back after COVID because they wanted to, come out and be active with the community. So this one that we're doing coming up this year, actually, when did Carl? Do you remember when the Normal, Illinois factory shut down?
I think the last time that it happened was it 2019?
Yeah, I think 2018, 2019. Josh,
I don't remember off the top of my head. I remember just kind of out of the blue one day seeing that Rivian was buying the factory, and I thought, oh, wow, I didn't even know.
That would have been my first one ever I attended because, fun fact, I've never been to any of them. So I was bummed out.
Yeah. So when that happened, it was let's see, business are leaving. So yeah, I think there was like 2015, 2016, some of 17 around there. I can't remember. When that happened, that means that they weren't doing Mitsubishi Motors. I mean, they weren't doing Mitsubishi Owners Day at the factory anymore. And everybody who was in the Midwest really lost that ability to come together. The one in Minnesota, or even if you were in like the southern area as well, a lot of them used to migrate up north to go to the event. So they lost that whole ability. So this year, just while trolling through Instagram, I saw Carl posting a bunch of stuff about doing a Midwest Evos meet with a bunch of people. And I said, hey, I've been running Mitsubishi Owners Day since 2022 or 2019, however. And I have been really trying to get something to bring it back to Central because a lot of the community there is really missing that event. And Mike Mell, who you know, suggested we talk to you, and Carl just ran with it. Like, he took it and he's running like full steam. He's got all kinds of great stuff. I'm like super proud that he's made it this like as much as it's gotten so far.
Yeah, man, when the creative juices just start flowing. Super grateful that Mike introduced me to you, Tim, and looking forward to future things to happen for the community.
It must take a whole lot of work to put one of these on, and obviously a lot of marketing, but then also a lot of behind the scenes stuff too, right?
But yeah, you got to stay in communication like big time with everybody that that you're pretty much in touch with everything that I've been doing. Just realizing the kind of, I don't want to toot my own horn, but like the kind of pull that I had in just like social media, with just being so active, and just keeping up with other events, um, just making sure everything just makes sense. Really, just not wanting to throw something together and be like, okay, well, let's throw it up in the air and see what happens. It's just one of those things where I've always been pretty passionate about the brand. I grew up, a Honda Mitsubishi guy, so this has been something that's just been in the back of my mind for the longest time. And the fact that I haven't really attended one was kind of pulling at me too. So I was like, you know what? There's really, like Tim said earlier, there's really nothing going on in central, like in the Illinois area. Like, why not? I said to myself, like, why not? Like, what's the worst that could happen? What's somebody gonna tell me? Like, no, you can't do it. Like, like you can't tell me that because I'm gonna do it. Uh, so I mean, just
And I just looked it up. So the factory closed in 2016. So it's been a decade since they've had an event there. So after 10 years, we're bringing it back to central area, and it was in Normal. I don't know how far Normal, Illinois is from where the event this year is going to be in Warrenville.
quite far. I want to say it's not. I don't want to make any wrong assumptions, but a couple hours, I'd say, give
Yeah.
or take. But I mean, just making sure that the communications there with whoever's involved, gathering as much information as you can, even like being, I guess, in the car game or Mitsubishi community, just going to different meets and just kind of seeing how everything is organized and just taking notes, especially with the so-called the heavy hitter hosts around the area, just going to their meets, like for example, like Fully Driven, Metal Militia, Legit Manila, all those guys that hold meets within the Illinois area. It's just going to their meets and just kind of taking notes and seeing how everything's ran. Just kind of, it's inspiring to see, and it's like, I want to do something on my own as well, because I'm in good standing with these guys. I talk to these guys whenever I get a chance, to chop it up with them at any of these meets or events, and it's always a good time. It's always a positive vibe. So it's like I feel like I have a pretty good backing when it comes to this sort of thing. Just get mod going.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of strange for people who've never been to things like this. It's almost like the cars kind of take a back seat weirdly, because you go there and you see all the friends and all the family that you've talked to online, and you almost kind of forget that the cars are there in the first.
True, very true. I mean, it's just the connections that you make with people, local to you, and listening to people's stories and listening to, and just simply observing just the way that everything goes with interactions with events and meet. So this is just a lot of those things that just go through my head, and I sit here sometimes, and I just take note and make sure that this is something that I really want to do, and this is something that everyone that's a part of it is, really on board with me. So I'm super grateful, like I said, for Tim and everybody else that's part of this whole thing.
So I know the central one is kind of different, but how early on, Tim, did these events start to be planned?
Well, they actually, I started a little later this year because I'm working with a promoter this year. Because actually, I was just looking at my history. The first one I did was in 2018. So since 2018 through 2019, I've been using a sponsor. Like normally, it would be a dealership who would help pay for a couple things, and then I would help pay for some things, and all that comes through um, our website. With we have merchandise for our members who want like stickers and shirts and stuff like that. But the rest of it, I pay for because I'm dedicated to the community and I like running these events. So once I lost the dealerships I wanted to help in the past couple of years, since everything has changed, I think the last dealership one we did was in 2023, 24. Yeah, 24. So last year we did it at Boca Motors. So shout out to them because they're awesome. They have this awesome. The owner is an old race car driver, and he has a large car collection he likes to show off at his shops. He has this giant skid pad and parking lot, and he let us use the whole space to fill up with Mitsubishis. And we had a really good turnout for that. For in the past, all the turnouts have been really good. Well over 100 cars, all different makes, DSMs, rebadged, Mitsubishis. We had, actually, this year is the first. Last year was the first year we had our first Mitsubishi key van show up, which was crazy. It was some old lady in an old Mitsubishi Bravo, which I've never heard of. But normally, when I start organizing this, I like to start like very early in the year so that I can give people enough time to schedule time to travel, schedule a hotel, figure out what they're going to do for the day of. And I like to announce it early so they can get that. This year I didn't get a chance to do that because I'm working with a promoter, just because I need some help paying for it because I can't pay for them every year myself anymore. So this one's a little late, but I always want to give as much information as I can. We started the one that Carl is doing earlier because his is starting earlier, 2 weeks earlier than the East Coast one. The Central one is on July 18th.
Yeah, I started talking to management over at Twin Peaks, Warrenville. Shout out to them. Mid-February of this year. So I was, lucky enough to actually speak to the original manager who was there, who was actually a car guy himself. So as soon as I called that restaurant, I was like, "Hey, I'm trying to do something for the Mitsubishi people." And he's like, "Wait, stop right there. Tell me what kind of cars." Let me guess, Evos. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he was like, "All right, I'm all for it." He's like, "I want you here." I was like, "Okay, this is awesome." So I mean, just that was like the easy button, right there, just getting the venue. And he was like, "Hey, I could do this and this and this for you. I could get trophies. I could get the Twin Peaks girls to do like promo for you guys, etc." And I was like, "You know what? I'm all for it. So, let's work something out. Let's get it cracking." And whatever, communication is involved with the village and stuff like that, I just told him like, give me all the details, and we can get it going.
Can't go wrong with Twin Peaks ever.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I mean, the manager who I originally spoke to, shout out to Joseph, he's no longer with the restaurant. So I am in talks with a different manager there who's not exactly a car guy himself, but he supports the cause as well.
Hmm.
Um, he actually the other manager, he actually owns a Subaru, which was funny. And he was all just like, "Oh, I want all you Mitsubishis there." I'm like, "Okay," and I think he's got like an STI or something like that. I was like, "All right." It was just it took me back a little, but I was like, "All right, this is cool." Like, you're showing, he's showing love, and it's always all love. It doesn't matter what car you got, but it was just funny to me, kind of ironic.
Yeah, for sure. We joke around a lot, but we actually do love each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, guys, what's some of the biggest challenges and struggles to put together a Mitsubishi focused meet and car show?
Uh, um, Originally, I would say getting the word out. I mean, we are members of the smallest car community, I think, at this point. It's the world's smallest car company. So, I mean, even now, other than Outlanders, which are their number one selling vehicle, you don't see a lot of the older cars around. Like, even Lancers are getting to be like few and far between now. So getting the word out through all the socials to people. Carl's been doing a great job with a lot of that local stuff, as well as the social media. When I do ones up here, we actually hand out posters and flyers to get people out, because there's a lot of people who aren't on social media anymore these days because it's toxic for people.
That's in the works.
Yeah. And also getting sponsors, that's tough. Carl can talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, just just getting, like I said earlier, just getting the right people involved and making sure that it makes sense. Um, the biggest challenge really is just making it believable to those who, were kind of left a bad taste in their mouth from, other past events that fell through. So that to me was a big challenge because we actually had something planned last year that kind of fell through due to, just miscommunication. The proper guidance wasn't there, and just lack of organization. So this year, like I took it upon myself, and it's like, hey, let me grab some of the guys that I'm actually close with, and that I talk to in the car community as well, pick their brain a little bit and see, what we can do. But really, it's tough just to get it out there, like Tim said. So I've been trucking away with, like, flyers, just word of mouth, letting people know. I'm reaching out to different, businesses, different platforms, shops, etc. Just saying, hey, I'm trying to do something, and it's been this long since we had something for the Mitsubishi community out here in Illinois, and like I always say, why not? Let's do it. So
Yeah, and I'm trying to work the social end. Lancer Nation is in up to including 200 plus Facebook groups that are all Mitsubishi centric, and we're getting a growing community more on Reddit. Our Instagram's getting a little bigger, which is great. So all those mediums really help because last year we had someone show up to the event. And normally when I talk to people, when I have a second to talk to people, I try to talk to everybody who shows up just to thank them for coming. Um, and I said, how did you find out about the event? And he's like, oh, I saw your poster on Reddit, which is like not our biggest community, but I mean, somebody saw something. And then the woman who showed up with the Mitsubishi Bravo, I asked her how she found out about it, and she saw it on some Facebook event list that she was like, oh, what's going on today? And she just looked up, Mitsubishi. She looked up car events. She saw the Mitsubishi one. She drove down. So I mean, you never know where somebody's going to show up from or where they're going to get the information.
Sure. And to me, it's kind of weird, kind of crazy that, you know, you see these people driving some of these Mitsubishis, like Eclipse Cross or something like that, and you think, well, they just bought this car maybe because they had to. Maybe they do like it a little bit. Maybe they don't want to go to. Why would they ever be interested in meat? And then you find out like they would love to be a part of something like that and see other cars like theirs and all that stuff. So yeah, I always find that so interesting.
And that's what Mitsubishi was trying to do all along when they started the event, was be able to get their community to come to the event. And the sad part is that in 2019 it was actually starting to work and it was starting to happen. So they're, at least on the East Coast one, they were starting to get like soccer moms to show up with their Outlanders or their Outlander sports, or just the random person who has an Eclipse, like the new Eclipse, like the G4 Eclipse, and they were starting to show up at the event. We actually had a whole row of just people who've never modded their car before. They bought Mitsubishi and they were just coming to the event. And I was convinced when I left, like, okay, next year we're going to have a lot more people because they're going to tell friends who like have just a standard car. And then COVID happened. So that is what we're trying to bring back as well, not just have an event with really cool cars, but also, show some of the people who bought the newer cars, like, this is what it used to be and how cool it is. And, what that there's still dedication to the brand other than just whatever's popular now.
we want to show people we're still alive. We're still kicking. We ain't going anywhere. No, no. All you CB guys can't have all the fun. All you Honda guys can't have all the fun. We're still here.
So whenever you started this process, Carl, and Tim had reached out to you about doing all this, was there a moment where you realized like, holy cow, this event is going to be even bigger than I expected?
Not at that moment, no. Um, just because I knew that I was still in the building process. Um, I was super grateful that I was connected with Tim, but at the same time, I was still kind of like just getting my hand in a jar per se. Just trying to get things going and moving. So at that point I was like, yes, like in my mind I was like rejoicing because I was like, okay, good. I've got another connect, I've got another resource to help me out and to back me on this. But once I started really you know, putting my foot on the ground and just digging into, the different sponsors and vendors I could reach out to and the different people I could actually reach out to support the event, that's when I slowly started to realize, okay, this is snowballing into something bigger, which, it's in a way it's a little intimidating, but at the same time, I'm pretty confident in my ability to keep things organized and, with my partnership with Tim and being introduced to him with my buddy Mike Mel, it was, it's just something that I expected to grow, but I guess it hasn't really hit me too hard, but I know when one of the shops that I reached out to actually said that they were interested in showing up, that's when it kind of hit me a little bit more. And I've always been a fan of these guys. They've worked on my car, and shout out to Boost in Performance. I'm actually This is the first time I'm actually announcing this on here that Boostin is showing interest and involved in our mod,
Wow, that's
event.
huge. It doesn't get any bigger than boosting performance.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we've got, such other great, partners and sponsors, Um, I want to shout out, like MXPI is also one of the shops that replied and said that they were interested in coming. They're also a shop out here in Illinois that has been pretty helpful with the Mitsubishi community and our cars. Um, I got Dragon Eyes Roel, who was actually introduced to me by Tim as well. He's actually coming out to sponsor the event. Um, and then just shout out to Silva. I know that that's another one of Tim's buddies. What's his,
Yeah.
his real name's Dave, right? David?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silva Penny?
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Shout out to Wheezy Mafia Productions, my buddy Jay Franklin, who also has an Evo 10, and Lunar Evo. There's a lot of guys like local guys that are pretty well known, and they're just willing to help out. Shout out to Mitsu Crew, um, one of the biggest factors in this as well, because if it wasn't for me linking up with Mitsu Crew as well too, like the reach would have been cut short because those guys they're super active in the community. And shout out to Fran from Mitsu Crew, shout out to Ronan, all those guys. So they're always doing their thing, and they're showing up and showing out all the time. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm actually gonna drive out there. I'm gonna take the 12 to 14 hour drive out there so I can be there for when we kick off this, bring back the central mod. So I also have to shout out the Evo Cruise guys here out of New Jersey and New York. Also the Tri-State Evo guys, because they've last year or 2 years ago they showed up with just about like 50 cars and helped pack the parking lot, which was awesome. That it was all over social media.
Heck yeah.
We're also working. We're also working with Rixmag Productions this year, which throw absolutely awesome car show everywhere from Connecticut down to Pennsylvania. So if you're in on the East Coast and you haven't been to a Rixmag show, you have to go to one, and it's an awesome time. we're gonna be at a number of their shows this year.
Well, we talked about the vendors and the sponsors. Let's talk about the response that you're receiving from the Mitsubishi community already leading up to this.
Man, it's all love, to be honest. There hasn't been a single person, doubting it. There hasn't been anyone, just personally reaching out and just questioning the motive or the intent.
Yeah.
I think everybody just knows that, me coming from, the same background as everybody with owning an Evo 10 myself. And sometimes, I feel like in my mind, some of the guys, the older heads, like, oh well, this guy has an Evo 10. What does he know about? But that just comes with it. The Evo 10 has always been an underrated, vehicle in the Mitsubishi community. But we're proving ourselves, and shout out to Rafe too. So it's been nothing but love and support, especially from the Mitsu guys. I haven't really had any kind of, anybody showing any kind of, resentment or hate on it.
Good.
Everyone's all for it. So I'm just glad, and shout out to the Mitsubishi community for, showing all the love and support, and that's all I could ask for. That's all we could ask for.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Rafe to come to one since 2018, and I'm gonna get him one day. But yeah,
Awesome.
there's a number of people who've come and they've left me messages, and they're like, "This is the one I wait to hear from, so I can schedule my vacation for the year." So, and also the amount of people that come that are always saying, in central United States, they're like, I wish it would come back. Or people either even like in Texas, they also like, well, you need to bring one here. Everywhere I go, because Lancer Nation is in over 2 dozen countries, they're like, oh, I want to do one here. And there's a couple places that do, like not through me, but through various other car clubs, as well as the guys in Canada. They're still waiting for something like that to happen. I'm hoping to do that next year, to see how well this works out with collaborations and everything. But there's other places, like I know the community is huge in Brazil. They do this huge event, and it's mostly Lancer and Evo centric. Our group in Guatemala is actually even bigger, which is insane to me, because it started as two separate groups, separated by the smaller models with the OZs and the new gen, the new type of Lancers, and they have turned it into a whole family affair. They've had picnics, they've done weddings, they've done, unfortunately, they've done a couple funerals. So it's actually insane how big it can be. And then one of the other really bigger ones is New Zealand has an actual Mitsubishi Owners Day, but theirs is at a racetrack.
Man, that's
That would
huge.
be ideal for me.
Right. That's huge. Well, in the future.
Yeah, theirs is at like more of a circuit racetrack, not a drag racetrack, but it would be really cool.
Take
Yeah.
that too.
The love is overwhelming. A lot of people were reaching out to from out of state, just commenting on some of my Instagram posts, saying, "Hey, bring it out to Ohio. Bring it out to Texas, like Tim said." So there's a lot of people that are definitely supportive of it, and they actually want it in their state. So it's like, hey, why not? You know, that's all I got to say is why not. Also, just wanted to shout out the OGs from Midwest Evolution, because I was given this brand to run with, and I wanted to shout those guys out because stuff happens. They got family stuff, and I was actually given the Instagram page for Midwest Evolution to run with, and I was like, I got their blessing. I was like, hey, you guys really want me to take this and run with it, because I will everything I can to blow it up. And they're just like, yeah, do what you got to do. So shout out to Amir, shout out to Joey, shout out to Carrie, Peter, all the guys that I ran with before family stuff. And unfortunately, some of their cars are still being worked on, and hopefully they make it out to July.
And there's the day that we announced it, to get more toward your question, the response we got back in just the first couple hours was ridiculous. Just when it went across our Instagrams together, the amount of comments and likes and reshares was probably one of the biggest we've had.
Good. That gives me a lot of hope. Well, Tim, what kind of builds do you usually see at these kind of events? And Carl, what kind of builds are you expecting to see this year at this event?
So typically, if you're going back to the original ones, you were able to see practically everything. There was DSMs, early Eclipses, all the way out to you have the drag race cars that you have, the race cars that you feature here on MitsuTimes, and then all the way out to the guys who drive the Delicas. And I have to give them a shout out as well, because the past 3 years we've had an influx of Delica owners show up, and they've helped fill our lot. So much so, when my son came to one and he's like, "Dad, you got to buy one of these." Yeah, so it originally was, your everyday Lancer owners, or actually I've seen one person actually mod a Mirage and show up with one in 2019, which is really cool. And that's the new Mirage, not the old Mirage. But I want to hopefully get more of the boosted Mirages who do a lot of the racing. So it started from, everybody who's got a Lancer who's done modding to their car, like all the way up to show cars. Shout out to Sean Thornhill for at Team Elevate, always shows up, and his car is ridiculous if you've seen his on Instagram. And all the way from that to a stance car to lifted Pajeros and Monteros that are taking it off-road and do four-wheeling. And the last mod that Mitsubishi did in 2019, they showed up with like half dozen, and they were doing the whole Jeep thing where they're parked on each other's tires. The Delica guys got when the Delica guys started showing up for mine in 2023, 24, they were setting up full camps, taking everything out of their van, showing off, surfboards and grills and like fridges. And then like all the way up to things like Pajero pickup trucks, which I had no idea was a thing. All the way up to what we had last year, which was the key van. So it's a little bit of everything. There's also one of the ones that really sticks out is I forgot his name off the top of my head, but he drives all the way up here from Louisiana in a Outlander Sport, which he has on bags.
Nice.
And he comes and he parks the car, and he's like, the past 3 years he's got the dedication award for coming the farthest. It was either between him or another guy who showed up in 2023, which unfortunately that was during the rain, was a guy who came from Ontario, Canada in an Evo 9 wagon.
Nice.
And he was road tripping with a couple friends, and that is my dream car, so I was full geek mode while he was there.
That's awesome, man. I just want to see more Pajeros and Monteros. When I was younger, my uncle had one before he passed away, and he loved that Montero Sport that he had. So like, just being, graced with that and just knowing about that platform, just like, and having that title earned as, the Desert King back in the day, like those cars to me, like even like Pajero Evos, I want one so bad.
We had one show up last year, which was crazy.
Man.
Last couple minutes of the show, it just pulled up. I'm like, oh my gosh, look!
I'll soil myself if a Pajero Evo shows up or multiple. But yes, mainly those Eclipses too. All the old school, all the DSM guys need to pop out. I need to see them because when I was back in high school, that's what got me into, these cars. My best friend, he actually had a neon SRT4, and back in the day, those were the three street kings. It was the SRT4, the Subaru STI, and the Evos. So it was one of those things. It's like whenever I would go, pop out with him in his SRT4, we'd go to these meets or little races, and we would see just a plethora of those cars, and it was just amazing to me. And it just, that's the seed was planted. And after he actually got rid of his SRT4, he got into the Subaru platform, and he would always talk trash to me, talking about, oh, you love Evos, and it's all Subi all day, and that kind of motivated me. At one point, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a Mitsubishi, and I'm gonna show you what's up. But and now I have one. I'm sure he's proud of me with everything that I've when I got the car and got it tuned by boosting and everything, and he's forget what he drives right now, but he doesn't have a race car, so he's doing his whole family thing as well. But yeah, man, it's just great, and I want to see all the DSMs pop out, all of that.
And it's great to see some of the older stuff. Like JD, who messes you, Carl, used to be here out of New York, and he used to show up with a bunch of guys with their Gallants and their Gallant VR4s.
Man, that would be awesome too.
He is coming. He told me, so he's bringing it.
Yeah.
But it's. I want to see some of the stuff that hasn't shown up yet that I haven't seen. Like I want to see somebody show up in an Endeavor. I want to see somebody show up in a Diamante. I want to see somebody show up in an iMiev, if you know what that is, which is the little electric car. And I invite them. Like I am no hate for any model. I want to see what you come. I want to see people's reactions when you show up in an iMiev.
Bring them all. I do not discriminate. If you got the 3 diamonds on your vehicle, don't matter. Bring it.
Yep. Show up with a Mighty Max or a Dodge Jeff 50.
Bring it. Yep.
Yeah, those old Monteros that, I guess they originally sold over here as the Dodge Raiders. I love those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And they have a big community on the Facebook right now. Their Facebook group is actually is really good size. I don't know if it's worldwide community or not, but they're still really popular. We've had a guy show up the past couple of years with a Pajero Pug.
Yeah.
And then that blows people's minds too, because it's styled out of like the 20s and 30s, but it's from 96.
Damn. Yeah. I'm super geeked. I'm super excited for it. I'm hoping everyone pops out. It's going to be huge. And I'm just going to continue to pump out these flyers and keep talking to people. That's all I
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah, we have two really good metro areas coming out of Chicago and out of New York, New Jersey. So there's like when we do any kind of car event in this area, you don't know what to expect. What'll come out whenever you put something out, and so people show up with all kinds of crazy things. I do have a couple of people here that are collectors and importers, and there's a guy show up last year with besides the cyborg that I have on my shirt, which is his. He also has an RVR he imported, and he showed up with that last year. He was trying to sell it. And he's also got an original Lancer RS with the 4G63 motor in it. So, and imported that for a good price too. So I'm hoping he brings that and a bunch of other stuff this year.
Boy.
Yeah, those always get me excited. Well, with the feedback that you guys are getting, do you feel like the Mitsubishi scene is growing and evolving and kind of heading in the right direction, even though Mitsubishi itself is kind of, slumming down more and more?
I think it's changing. Carl would probably agree that it's not like the car community is not what it used to be, based on what it used to be in the 90s and the early 2000s. Along with this, because a lot of these cars aren't made anymore, even the Lancers aren't made anymore. A lot of the owners are, getting, even the G4 Mirage isn't going to be sold much more. It's just all going to be Outlanders, Outlander Sports, Eclipse Crosses. But every now and then I come across somebody who's got a Lancer and they bought it in 2016. It's a 2017 or 2015, but they're not on social media. They drive it, they've modded it. They're only on TikTok. They're on some of their social media that the rest of the Mitsubishi world isn't on at the moment. They're hard to reach sometimes. It's nice to see that even when you're not in that world with them, they are still reaching out and looking for parts and trying to make it faster and that kind of thing. As well as like a lot of the guys with like the Outlander Sports, that platform blew up a lot bigger than I originally thought it would be. Like, people have taken it, they've slammed it, they've put bigger tires on it, they've done everything to it. Along with like some of the older Outlanders have use some of the same parts that the current Lancer do. Well, the same headlights, some of the same suspension. We have a guy in Oregon who took his and lifted it and uses his lifted his Lancer and uses it for off-road. So it's really interesting to see. It's kind of sad to see some of the older cars not being able to show up because they're driving distances the car can't handle anymore. But I think with this kind of event, we can reach out to the community a little more, and more word of mouth, as long as we can make family friendly, accepting of views of most people's cars, builds, even if it's not like super modded. Come and park it in the parking lot and spectate, and at least show your support for the community, as well as the people who are like the younger people who are like, oh, they still see the Evo in high regard, even though the community is saturated with Subarus and Volkswagens and BMWs. And there's still a car that they want to own and they want to have one day. So it's still a dream car. A lot of Mitsubishis are still people's dream cars, from the Evolution, the Eclipse, the Eagle Talon. So, and a lot of the lifted Pajeros and stuff like that. So it's nice to see that they still want some of the older stuff.
Yeah.
I think what's really to me from what I've observed is that kind of what Tim said, the younger guys, they still hold that they know the history, especially when you talk to some of these guys. it kind of surprises me sometimes. It's like, oh, you know about this stuff. You're not just all about Dodge Chargers or the BMWs and stuff like that. So I think it's evolving, but evolving in a good way. Just as long as we don't let, I guess, the different stigmas and stuff like that in social media really brain rot everybody. Because sometimes it's like you see people that just like they're all in it just to make their just to make their cars look all fancy and stuff, and people kind of get too caught up in just just that kind of thing with social media. That's kind of and you can throw that in the pot for like a challenge as well, because like Tim said, not everybody's on social media. So I'm actually working on printing out flyers and actually hitting the streets and putting it out there. Um, Even just going to meets is, to me, is like one of the biggest things that can help evolve and change the community, because once you put that out there, people are like, oh well, the Mitsubishi scene is still up and running. Like
Hmm.
they get shocked by that, and I'm like, yeah, come check us out. It's happening, you know. Um, yeah, so it's definitely it's one of those challenges too. It's like, especially with people that kind of like to stay away from social media. It's good to just, to me, it's good to just go out there. I'm not always, I always have my phone on me when it comes to just promoting the stuff and putting the stuff out there as well too. But it's definitely one of the biggest things is word of mouth, and just making sure that people who are not in the social media, like if they're not on Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, like just let them know like, hey, we're still here, and if you want to pop out, come on out. Welcome you with open arms for sure.
And that local setup is important, like especially when we set up our tent, like we're going to be doing this weekend. We're going to be at Brokey's this weekend, and we're going to be busy the next couple of months, the next couple of weeks before the event. It's just going to all different kinds of shows, and we put up our tent. And typically, I invite, besides just the Evo and Lancer owners, to chill at our tent is anybody with the Mitsubishi who shows up, and I can guarantee you, the Mitsubishi tent is going to have less cars in it than most events have Lamborghinis or high-end BMWs, or even the stuff like McLarens. Like even around here, New York, in the New York metro area, there are more McLarens and Lamborghinis and all kinds of the high-end cars show up that outnumber the Mitsubishis that we have at our tent every single time. And it's just interesting that people walk around and say, oh, I don't see very many of these anymore. Or somebody shows up with an Evo at the event, they're not on social media, and everyone's looking at their car because they don't see it very often, and they're not with us. But it's nice to see that they're getting the the views, or something that's really interesting and really like not common anymore.
Yeah, becoming less and less common, really.
Yeah.
And also, I got an event coming up this Sunday at Super Dog Drive-In. Shout out to them over in Wheeling. I have an all Mitsubishi meet going on. I know the weather is not going to be great, but I encourage all Mitsubishi owners to pop out. It's kind of going to be, I don't want to say it's like an unofficial pre-meet to July, but I just want to see, I want to see who pops out. That's all. I'm curious. I know it's a little bit further north for some people, and I've been getting some feedback for people in Southern Illinois. They want more, Midwest Evolution meets to be more south, and I'm working on that, guys. Trust me. I've got a couple guys that I've reached out to at different meets that actually own Evos, and they're like, hey, we're from the southern suburbs or from the southern area in Illinois, and we could definitely help out and scope out some spots, and we could try to get some events going. So I'm definitely working on that. But right now I got the north covered, and I'll have the south covered very soon as well. So
And getting those posters out are important too, because a lot of people, as like Carl said, word of mouth. So even if you get the posters out locally, the social media part is going to help, but the local part is good because they spread out farther than you think.
100%.
Well, with all that we just said, what do you think separates Mitsubishi enthusiasts from other automotive communities?
They know what they're doing. And again, I was at IFO 2 weeks ago, and you can tell that, like, granted, it was full of like everybody who owns a Honda, But there's a couple people with Mirages, and Carl, the person you've had on your show before, Mr. Klein, with his Eclipse. But they're no joke knowing what they're doing, and they're talking to them like I was. They know the car inside and out. They know what they're going to do. They know what they want to do. They know what the car can handle. They know what the parts can do. So because the field and offering of cars is not as big as most manufacturers are over so many years and so many generations, they know what the limitations are, and they know what the parts are and where to get them, and just like even small little tricks on how to get just a little bit more out of it or get the look that you want, or what parts from other models or other manufacturers will work on their cars. So I mean, that's really interesting to see. Like, you walk up to somebody and they have some part of a Ford and it works for their Mitsubishi or something like that. It's crazy.
100% agree on that. Just the knowledge that people show and that they have, just kind of shows like the night and day difference with some of these guys.
And it's like down to an encyclopedia. Like, if you check someplace like evolutionm.net, which is still around, like, you can go on there and find anything that you want to put together, or Evo everything to 10. I started when I started modding mine.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by MKS Motorsport. MKS Motorsport prides itself in producing quality, lasting parts for the StarQuest community. MKS has been a key player in the StarQuest community for over 13 years. Their parts are tested and proven to replace, outlast, and fit better than OEM. MKS parts are race proven and can be found on nearly all StarQuests on our StarQuest list. Find out more about their products and services at mksmotorsport.com. It feels weird kind of going from the forum days to now. And you know, sometimes you almost wish the forums could go back. But, you know, I guess Facebook would get us through, even though it's a lot harder.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how without the forum layout as it used to be, where it kept everything organized, how everything is organized. We have, I think Lancer Nation itself is about 100 or 100 plus Facebook groups for all the local groups. But if you want to find information on one, I mean, you can use the search, but the old forums used to be organized down to, drivetrain, body, mechanical, HVAC, electrical, that kind of stuff. That's just not, that kind of organization isn't there anymore.
That's for sure. Well, so the post that you guys have been sharing on social media, it mentions food, music, giveaways, awards, vendors. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the overall experience and what we can expect from those things?
Well, overall experience should be a fun time. I've got West Side Drift coming, who specializes in RC car drifting. So he's gonna have his own little setup there with his own little track. It's gonna be cool. He's gonna have different cars that you can use to RC drift, and he says that you can bring your own as well, which should be cool for the kids as well. I've got a Hot Wheels vendor coming, and who doesn't like Hot Wheels?
Right.
He's got custom Hot Wheels, so I expect a lot of Mitsubishi ones that he's gonna pop out and bring out. As far as more activities goes, we've got Twin Peaks girls coming out. You can have photo opportunities with them. Whoever's interested in that. I am also in talks with a production company right now, and I kind of want to do something where they go around interviewing other owners, other drivers, and just kind of introducing them and asking them what their story is, what their build is, and how far they've come, and stuff like that. That's for anyone that isn't shy to share their story. We got some people that kind of want to be private and remain private, which is fine. But I'm definitely gonna have people go around and just communicating and just interacting with people, so no one's gonna be left out. Because sometimes these events it becomes a little isolating at times. But we don't want that. We want to make sure that everyone's included. We want to make sure that everyone feels welcome, and it's just gonna be good vibes all around.
Yeah, as for the East Coast one, we're doing at a dealership. It's a Lacarni Mitsubishi in New Jersey. We're right on a main strip, so everybody's going to see their car parked there as they're driving by. We have food trucks. We have a crazy DJ going on. Going to be selling a bunch of Lancer Nation stuff. I'm going to be selling T-shirts the day of. So if you want a Mitsubishi Owners Day T-shirt for both the Central and the East Coast, you're only going to be able to get them the day of the event on our website, and they'll get you after that. So it's a single day airdrop. If you're unable to get to the event, you can still buy one. And it's all about meeting other people, showing off some really cool cars, and giving away some cool trophies for each model type. And also a major important thing for these events is the People's Choice Award. So everybody who shows up to the gate gets a vote card, which I design every year, and they get to vote for which car at the event is the best car of what they think. And that is a carry-on tradition from the Mitsubishi original Mitsubishi Owners Day events that Mitsubishi North America used to run. And that is the one thing that helps, I think, the community, the sense of community for the entire event, as well as going forward into other ones. So you could show up with practically anything, depending on how it looks, and you could please the entire crowd. Not even in like competition for a trophy, but you could get something.
Yeah, and we got a promo as well too for Central that any car registrant gets a little lanyard that they can present within the Twin Peaks restaurant, eligible for free chips and queso and or mozzarella bites, which is a $14 value.
It's going to fill up the parking lot just for that. Giving away event specific. If you show up with a Mitsubishi, you're going to get an event specific sticker, which I've done the past 4 years now.
You talked about a couple of the awards. What other awards out there? We talked about the most dedicated and the People's Choice. Are there any other awards, trophies, something like that?
Yeah, so the East Coast mod will have one for Best Lancer, Outlander, Gallant, Mirage, I think Mirage, Eclipse, DSM, and then there's stuff like underrated, so that includes like Diamante, Endeavor, and then the most underrated, so like people who have like a Starion or a Conquest or an RVR, Best Outlander or Outlander Sport, Best Off-Road, and then we had stuff like Best Stance, Wheels, Interior, Exterior, stuff like that.
Yep, similar on our end too. We've also got one going for furthest traveled. We're actually giving away gas cards, gift cards, because gas is on the rise, unfortunately. And I feel like it would be awesome to actually have that as a type of reward for people who show up. I'm sure they could appreciate that for sure.
For those people rolling in with the E85.
Yep.
Well, so we talked about people traveling from other states, from Canada. For someone traveling in, why is this event worth making the trip?
I mean, it's at that point, it's you're not going to get into an event that has this many Mitsubishi owners in it at one time where you are, I guaranteed. There just isn't, unless somebody is doing something as big as this, or as big as the one in SoCal, or as big as the two we're trying to put together. If you go, this is the only event you're going to go to that has just Mitsubishis in it, and people who are just as enthusiastic about the build as you are. And it's not just one; it's a lot. It's a lot.
100%. And it's also just all about the engagement, building relationships, building collaborations within the Mitsubishi community. And I know there's people out there that's just so eager to do that. And there's some people that are coming out that don't have a large community, where they're from. So the fact that they're coming out, to spend time, money, dedicate their builds and stuff like that to come out, it means the world to me. It means the world to us, and we're here to just build, regardless. It's a great networking opportunity. We're going to get to meet a lot of people that with really unique cars and unique stories, and I feel like that in itself is going to be well worth it.
And that's a big part of the fact that this isn't like one of the larger manufacturer events. So like it's more of an intimate event, because if you go to something like Wicked Big Meat or Honda Days, you're flooded with like hundreds and hundreds of cars that are, granted, they're a much larger car company, but you're not going to be able to talk to everybody. And this kind of event, it's just big enough where you can talk to everybody, you can look at everything, and at some point it's what people need, because we have a lot of people in our local Lancer Nation groups in some of the Midwest states like Kentucky or Oklahoma or Tennessee or Missouri. Those communities aren't as big, but they'll make the trip because then this is what they're going to get to be able to talk to people who like the car as much as you do.
And you'll get to witness my MC skills, because when I'm on the mic, I'm a madman. So
Good, because I'm not.
get ready, dude. Like I used to perform when I was younger. I was a rapper at one point, so me and the microphone and the stage, I'm no stranger to it. So I'm with it.
Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but how has online communities helped connect Mitsubishi owners with this event, like Facebook groups and forums and stuff like that?
Absolutely. I don't think we would have as big of a Delica representation as we would if it wasn't for the two main Delica groups, which is the Delica Owners Group and what's it called? It's the Mitsubishi Delica Owners Collaborative, I think it is, on Facebook. It originally started with only like 3 or 4 people who showed up, and then after that, subsequent years after that, it was more and more and more. As well as the Pajero guys from shout out Northeast Pajeros, the Northeast Montero group, as well as the Montero Collaborative on Instagram has been getting the word out recently. So it's nice to see that it's spread across other social media groups, and as well as Reddit. We can't get them all, but I'm trying to get as many as I can.
Instagram's been huge for me. I have a Facebook, but I'm not, as active on Facebook. But Instagram has been huge, just the posts and just my interactions with everybody. I show love to everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, especially if it's a Mitsubishi. Like, I love it all. So just the fact that, I can talk to people and reach out to people easily through that, platform, it's been great to me.
And the other funny thing is that we get a lot of love from the Mitsubishi Canada, like Mitsubishi Motors Canada, which is very strange, because like the North American one doesn't really tag us in much. Like I think for the 10 years we've been going through this, they've tagged ours like once.
Shout out Canada.
But our people are, kudos to you, because you're all over our socials and our members, just giving them all kinds of love.
Yeah, I gotta love that. A little bit of factory feedback. So do you guys think that events like this kind of help keep the older platforms alive? Maybe, I see something like this happening and I'm like, all right, yeah, I have to get my, first gen 3000 GT back together so that I can make it out to something like this and show people how special it is.
100%.
Absolutely. As those older platforms are really what draw people, especially when you go to an event or they go to an event, and it's not something the amount of people seen or even know what an Eagle Talon is, or even know what Eagle is like, it's a handful maybe who show up, especially at a bigger event where you have somebody with an Eagle Talon, which we do when we have who cruises with us, and they're like, they walk up to the front of the car and they're looking at the motor and like, what is this? Like, why is it? Oh, they look at the front of the car and it's like, oh, it's a Firebird because it's got a bird on the front. Like, no, that's not what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially we do have a little bit of community for 3000 GTs out here in Illinois. So shout out Mike. Follow him on Instagram. His Instagram IG handle is Pixel. Has a pretty big group of 3K GTs that are going to show up and show out, and those guys are awesome as well. So shout out to them.
Yeah, those guys. We have a group around here called Rad Stallions, and they're a specific group that made a car club that's only for older model cars from like 70s, 80s, 90s. So a lot of their members have a 3000 GT. One of the original members has a Conquest that shows up, as well as they have a member out of New Hampshire that has an Eclipse that looks just like the one from the original Fast and Furious, like a full setup that looks exactly like the car. So that's always a big draw.
Tim, I know you kind of spoke on it earlier, but what's been the wildest or most memorable car that you've seen at one of these events?
Ooh. Most memorable? Oy. That's tough. We've seen a lot. I mean, the Pajero Evo last year was the first I've ever seen that, which is really cool. There was a girl who showed up actually from the Illinois area who had a wide body Evo 10 in all pink. That was interesting. Man, that's tough. I think probably also the guy modded G4 Mirage, because I think that was the first year that they had it out, and he had it lowered. He had chunkier wheels. He had a cage in it. Like, who makes the car just came out? Where are you going to find a cage for a G4 Mirage? Oh, shoot, I got to go through my pages here to see what I have that's from back in the day, or even some of the Evo 9 wagon was cool. So the guys who show up with Colts, those guys are nuts. I thought the guys with Mirages were nuts. The guys with the Colts show up with a fully built motor, with a huge turbo, and slicks in the front, like bicycle wheels in the back. It weighs like 1,500 pounds, and they're pushing like 20, 30 pounds of boost. And like, I'm like, you're driving this on the street here? You're crazy.
Awesome.
You gotta love those guys. It's all fun and games to get caught out in the rain with slicks on still.
Yes, this it's true. We did. So I can say there was a guy who showed up for a 2018 or 19 event, and he was just driving by. He never heard of the event, but he was just coming from where, I can't remember where he said he was coming from, but he was just driving by, and he came in, he parked the car, he had a great time. Then it was a Colt. It was originally white. It had red quarter panels and a green hood and no interior, but the motor was built, and he was having a great time. And like, was probably one of the most unique things I've seen, at least on a race end, which was wild to me.
I'm hoping the same thing with just random people showing up with their Mitsubishis, because the last event that I actually hosted at Twin Peaks, I had some older gentlemen show up in a Chrysler LeBaron, and those had the Mitsubishi engine in it as well. So we started chopping it up a little bit. He was like, I saw one of your flyers, on Instagram, and this guy had to be like maybe 70, I want to say. I was like, holy crap, like he saw a flyer of mine on Instagram. He's like, yeah, and that's why I came out. He's like, because I thought this was an all Mitsubishi meet. And he's like, and my car has a Mitsubishi engine in it. And I was like, well, I mean, it's not an all Mitsubishi meet, it's an all car meet, but I'm super grateful and glad you came out. And I started explaining to him about mod as well in July, so hopefully he shows up with that car as well. Like I said, all is welcome. So
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
was pretty unique chat we had.
No doubt.
And then I think also one that showed up in 2023, there's a guy who's one I haven't seen, was a Sigma. Sigma? No, sorry, a Chariot. Yeah. A Chariot. So it came with the original 4G63 in it, which is wacky. And it's like it's putting a 4G63 in a tiny minivan. And then there used to be a person in Massachusetts, and what's I don't know if they're still alive right now, but it's the Western Mass Mitsubishi Club. They had the 2006 Rally Art wagon, which was super awesome. They painted black with the red gold flake in it, and they did all the things to that to that car. And then last year, we were at the Broke East season closer, and just like you said, Carl, some random old guy showed up in a Blue Bayou Evo 8, and you would have thought he just brought that off the showroom floor, because he said that car has never seen the sun. It's been in his garage with a cover on it since the day he bought it. So there's no color fade from the sun or anything. It's all completely stock, and he drives it every now and then. And that's not the only one he has. Also an Evo 10 edition, and another. I think he said he also had an Evo 9. It's like, I've been doing this for 11 years, and this guy just shows up with all this stuff. And it's the most beautiful shade of blue, other than the electric blue, but it's never been molested. It's got no scratch on it. It's perfect.
I love that. I love those surprises like that. It's always great, especially when the OGs pop out and they're see him and you think like, no, he doesn't drive that car, and then that he pulls up by Evo, and it's like, well, that's pretty wild. And then those conversations are great, interacting with them. So I'm hoping that happens as well for Mod, and get those people out, and doesn't matter how old you are, what age, and what kind of car, just bring it.
Yeah, and also I'll shout out the guys with the FTO, and they showed up in 20. We had one guy show up with one in 2023 in that rainbow color shift paint he put on it, and I had no idea that thing existed either.
Those cars are sexy.
I love those things. I wish that more of them would get imported.
Yeah, seriously. I
And
almost forgot about FTO.
Their Facebook group is small compared to what most of them are. I think that their membership is only like 500. So if that's what do you call it? If that's a sign of how many there are in the States, I mean, if somebody shows up with one and you're not at the show, you may never see one.
We talked about boosting performance. What would be your all's dream sponsor, vendor, or special guest that you'd love to have at one of these events?
Love, I don't know if some of them still make parts for a car anymore. I'd love to see K&N show up. I'd love to see Gretty show up, because they used to make the best exhaust, I think, for these cars. I'm not shooting for a specific person, because I want to be able to have the companies that still make parts for these cars to still make parts for these cars. I want them to see, how it makes people feel that they're able to put parts in these rare cars now, that they're still offering them. And I mean, I'd love for them to sponsor our community, because we still have people that are reaching out to AMS and EMS and NVIDIA and what was the other one? Borla. Borla's the other one. There's still people looking for those parts, and especially Gretty. I don't think they sell the exhaust kit for the Lancer anymore, or the Evo anymore. And those I'd really love to see come out again. I think when last I talked to the head of PR, Jeremy Barnes, who's the current guy, they're not partnered with Rossford Fosgate anymore. I'd love to see them out with their van again and just try to get people to go into their van for 60 seconds for a t-shirt.
Speaking of AMS, I need to follow up with them, because they are one of the shops I reached out to. I know they've been a large staple in the Mitsubishi community as well. So AMS, hit me back up, please. Also, MA Performance, I'm waiting on you guys to hit me back up. I was speaking to Zach, I believe, from part of their marketing team, and I'm waiting on MA Performance. But I mean, just having Boostin on board is a dream too for me. So shout out to them.
No doubt. MAP doesn't answer you back, come to the shootout and talk to him face to face.
Yeah, sure. I hope to get out there for that. Everybody keeps telling me to take that, see what that's about.
Good time. So, what would you say are like the long term goals for Mitsubishi Owner Day?
I want to be able to continue carrying a, because when I was at them, the original events, it was a very close community, and that the company really not worried, but really was trying to reach out to their community, see what they like, see what could be changed. They wanted input on, how they were doing, what could they make better, that kind of thing. Since COVID and their conversion over to the crossover market, it's it it's like they cut off the community at the knees. I mean, when last I talked to them, it seemed as though, like, I asked them if they wanted to come out, and they said no. And they said, to be honest, we just don't want to hear, why don't you make this anymore? Why don't you make cars that we want to buy anymore? And it's like, oh, that's, I mean, you kind of owe them a little bit of an apology, I think,
Yeah.
for, like, you used to make things that people wanted to buy and had a lot of fun in, and you just went with the money and traveled through the crossover market and are making, like, no hate on people who have an Outlander, because, I mean, 2019, our Mitsubishi Owners Day was powered by a Outlander PHEV. We ran the entire show off of that car running on the battery, and it was awesome. But, like, for the enthusiast community, it seems as though it was like you went and started to build something out without a outstretched hand that says, we still value your input and what you think of the community and what we can do better. And we wouldn't be as we would like to think they wouldn't be as big if it wasn't for the community buying all these cars and still holding them up and still getting their name out there.
Yeah, definitely. And it hurts my heart to see all the cool cars that they sell across the world and then just not here.
Yeah. But I want to say that's not just Mitsubishi. Like, that's like Nissan, it's Honda, that's all of those, all the manufacturers do that. So granted, we get the shaft with a lot of the cool stuff, but we can't just fault one company for that, I don't think.
Yeah. It's just the one company that I would buy from is the one I
Exactly. Though I can say that when they came out with the Rally Art editions of the current ones, the G4 Mirage and the Outlander Sport, I mean, I like the styling, the fact that they're missing a turbo, and that could have been.
I'm asking for is the Triton back.
There you go.
Everybody else gets it, and then we don't, and that's not.
Yeah.
It seems like the truck market is as big as it's ever been here. So
You need something to compete against the Ridgeline, and that could be
Let's
it,
go.
or the Tacoma.
Ranger. I mean, everybody's in the
100%.
midsize market now at Colorado. So after people leave Mitsubishi Owners Day, what do you want them to be saying about the event on their way home?
I want to go back next year. I want to bring people with me, and if I want them to post on their social media, and I want their friends who are there following to say, "Man, I can't believe I missed that. I can't wait to try next year."
Same answer. More so, instead of them saying something, I want them to feel good about it. I want them to feel like they're part of the community, and we haven't forgotten about them. None of these guys have been forgotten. Mitsubishi hasn't been forgotten. I just want them, like Tim said, I want them to talk to their friends. I want them to be like, hey, you know what? When's the next one, or when's the next event? Especially the local guys. I want them to reach out to me more and be like, hey, when is there gonna be another Mitsubishi event? So I want that to happen. I want them to feel good about making a decision to come out and have a good time with other enthusiasts.
And I want them to be able to look at who put it on. So, like, especially for Lancer Nation, we have a local Mitsubishi/Lancer group for every state in the United States, as well as every province in Canada. So if they leave this event and they want to, bring up their local group, I've already have the infrastructure for them to do that. They just need to find the people, and then do events with the people you get together in just your Mitsubishi family. And then when next year comes around, bring them all to the event the year after. And then for Carl, for Midwest Evos, I mean, it's a great way for them to be like, hey, if you didn't come, then you got to come next year, and just get more people in together in the group to go to the events that they have out there together and show off like all the things they have, especially because the car community out there is huge in the Chicagoland area.
Definitely.
So, guys, let's say that someone out there listening is on the fence about coming. What's the one sentence, one kind of pitch that you would give them to convince them to show up?
Buy you a beer.
There's not a community like it if you're going to your local meet. It's an entirely different experience than going to just a local meet and just seeing people randomly walk around the parking lot or just a random show. People are going to walk up to you. They're going to ask you about your car. They're going to ask you what you did to it. They may vote for your car to win a prize. So, I mean, it's more atmosphere than it would if you were just going to a random car meet, I think.
Agreed.
And then to you guys, what does a successful Mitsubishi Owners Day 2026 look like for each of your events?
And just looking at the start of what Carl's has set up and what we're pushing, I think it's going to be successful off the bat. And working with Rick's Mag, I mean, they put together an awesome show with all kinds of stuff. They do a lot of engagement, and they try to find the best cars that get to showcase at the event. And even if you're not the best, you're still getting in for show and shine if you want to still show it off. And you're still get a chance to talk to all the owners and still compete to an extent. There's a lot going into it, and it's all built from the community itself. And that's one of the key, I think, is the key draws, instead of it being like a group of just a single meet or a single event organizer doing something for all cars, because they got to include all kinds of stuff. This is specifically built for you, your Mitsubishi, and your community.
Yeah, and coming from just me, I just own an Evo 10. I'm just a regular dude. I'm no hot shot. I don't run sevens, or anything like that. I wish I would, but it's just leveling, just being on that level with other enthusiast owners, taking it, from my point of view. You're going to come into this and you're going to feel good about coming into this, and I'm going to make sure that everyone has a good time. Like I said, we've got some really great people working behind the scenes too to make this happen. As long as the communication stays intact, we stay organized, everything should go smoothly. Anybody has questions, they can always reach out to me. Doesn't matter what kind of questions or what kind of concerns you got, I will do my best to get that addressed and make sure everyone, is satisfied, and the opportunity is always positive and networking is always there, and the connections will always be there as well too.
A successful event, I think, also includes that you meet some people there that you haven't met before. You get to talking about your car, and you're there after the event is over, taking pictures with each other's cars, I think is the sign of a successful event.
100%.
So, Tim, earlier you talked about buying shirts the day of the event. How else can people support the event outside of just showing up?
Send it out on your socials to as many people as you can. Like I said, we're trying to build a Mitsubishi community that's inclusive and has variety. And because if it's just an event full of Evos and Lancers, I'm not going to say that people won't show up. But I'll show up. That's why I'm here. I'm here for all the Lancers and Evos. But variety is definitely something we're looking for. We're looking for everything. So best to do is to spread it around, tell people about the event. If you've been to a Mitsubishi Owners event in the past, even the original ones, tell people what the event was like, what it felt like, what the ride was like all the stories you have. Case in point, 2016, 2015, I helped running in Camden, New Jersey. We made 5 stops, 1 in Connecticut, 1 in New York, and then 3 in New Jersey, heading down the Garden State Parkway. When we left the last stop in Camden, New Jersey, we had 89 cars on the Garden State Parkway. During that ride, somebody in the front stopped the car to get out to take a picture on the Garden State Parkway of all the Mitsubishis looking all the way up the highway. We went to the event, we got there, and somebody at the very end was saying, New Jersey State Police heard that we were driving down the highway, that we stopped the highway, and they were looking for us. But by then we were already gone. I mean, it's those kind of stories and those kinds of experiences that you have with this kind of community that helps bring people toward the event. That's what I hope people can do, even if they're not going to be there.
Always reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah,
Very responsive. I'm very responsive on social media. Like, message me, whatever, video call me. I'm with it. Like I said, just reach out.
So where can people stay updated with announcements, registration info, and all the other event details?
So for the East Coast mod, actually for both mods, I try to keep as much information up to date on the Lancer Nation Instagram page, our Facebook page as well. For registration for the East Coast mod, head to rixmag.com and click on the Mitsubishi Owners Day East Coast and get registered. Make sure you register for a ticket. Put your car in. I mean, if you had work done to it, put it in for the competition to win a trophy. Or if you just want to show it off, it's got some mods to it. Put it in for show and shine. If it's stock, that's fine. You can still come and park it with the spectators. And everybody's gonna be looking at all the Mitsubishis anyway. So, but working with Rick's Mags, you got to shout to them. Rico is an awesome guy, and he's doing an awesome job keeping us, helping us make this easier for me this year to run 2 events and keep the event like for everybody, but also like to his platform so that it's more of a higher quality event than it used to be in the past. You can also follow Midwest Evolution for Carl's event. He's also posting as much as he can, which has been, I think, like 30 or 40 times just this week. But he tags us in collaboration so we can spread it around as much as we can. I'm also trying to spread it out to all of our partner and affiliate Facebook groups, which is extensive. It's a lot of work, but I want to make sure that we reach out to as many people as possible. And we have an event page for both of the events off the Lancer Nation Facebook page, RSVP, so we can at least have an idea of how many people are coming. Also, Twin Peaks has been posting it up on their Instagram as well. They've been doing a lot of promotion, which is awesome. And Rick's Mag has also been doing a lot of promotion for it as well, along with all their other shows. So I think those are the main ways they can reach us.
Well, we talked a lot about social media here in the last few questions. Why don't you tell us where people can find and follow you guys on social media so we can reach out and follow what's going on with these meets?
Absolutely. So if you're following already, follow the Lancer Nation on Instagram. We are the largest local Mitsubishi Lancer and Evolution community in the world, just shy of 50,000 members as of the beginning of this month. We are in 24 countries, and you can find us on Facebook. We're mostly centered around Facebook and have been for the past 11 years. If you're looking for silliness on just my little Lancer, you can follow me at JBX Lancer. And find us at Facebook, facebook.com/Lancer Nation Official.
For me, just reach out to my Instagram handle is Midwest_Evolution. My personal page too, you can also reach out. It's Marumi_X. So that's MARUMI_X. Yeah, you can reach out to me on both pages. Like I said, super responsive. Any questions you have, come holler at me.
Love it. And then, fellas, at the end, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or shout out to anybody who's been helping them out. Is there anybody that you guys want to give a thanks or shout out to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had to shout out Boca Motors for helping us in the past this past year. Last year's Mitsubishi Owners mod, Mitsubishi Owners Day, as well as our Toys for Tots event, which helped us collect the largest amount of toys we've ever collected. And we do that every year. We also have to shout out everybody here in Connecticut who's got an Evo or a Lancer that's been in our group since the start, since 2014. So shout out all my CT Lancers, which is a subgroup of Lancer Nation. Have to shout out Rico from Rick's Mag and his entire team for working with us to get this event running and making it a successful event and helping get it promoted and keeping us in their shows this year and last year. They're great events. And it's high. They're always looking for the highest quality builds, so that's worth it. Also, have to shout out Ted's Hamburgers for helping us out, and a bunch of our food vendors that every year we get a bunch of different ones, which are awesome. And also to my Lancer pilots. Those are specific members that have been supporting the community since the start. A couple of them are in the state. A number of them, I think there's one or two actually in Illinois. It's an award I give out every year to a number of people who have done as much as they possibly can for the community, whether it being running events, running a local group, helping promote, help pay for promotions, help pay for merchandise, and just doing the absolute most for the community that they're in.
I would like to shout out Tim, because he's been awesome, being a great partner through all this, collaborating with me, just having straight up patience with me. Shout out to Mitsu crew. That entire crew has been super helpful with putting this together as well. Just being active in the community and just being all over the place. Just repping the Mitsubishi brand. Just, all in all. Shout out to Mike Mel. If it wasn't for Mike, I wouldn't have met Tim, and this collaboration wouldn't have happened. Last year when we tried to make the event happen, Mike was also involved, and I'm glad he's staying involved with us too, working in the background, just getting things done, keeping the wheels spinning for this event. Shout out to Wheezy Mafia Productions, my buddy Jay Franklin. He's been a big help as well too in the Mitsubishi community. Shout out to Silva. Shout out to Dragon Eyes. Shout out to Luna Evo. All our great sponsors that are coming out. Shout out to all you guys, and big shout out to Mitsubishi community. I appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the support. And I'll reciprocate that with a good show.
And what's that? Team Manila also. I think also shout out to them.
Manila.
Legit Manila. That's it.
Shout out to Mark. So Mark is with Legit Manila. He's also a big part of the 8-6 community. The fact that he actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I'm all about helping out the Mitsubishi community too," which it's huge. Big shout out to Mark from Legit Manila. I know he's all about the 8-6 gang. Shout out to the 8-6 Hachiroku community as well too. You guys, show nothing but love to the Mitsubishi community as well. So it's always good to have that kind of unity with different brands and platforms too. So shout out to Mark.
Yeah, and also Tri-State Evo for coming and helping us out the past couple of years, filling our parking lot, and the Evo Cruise Project 89X on Instagram for reaching out, finding out we were going to be local, and trying to get as many people there as possible. And the FTO community, they have been dying the past couple of years to get to the show, and a number of them have had mechanical problems, but this year they're working their hardest to get there.
Yeah, I can't wait. They're going to be some great events, and I'm most looking forward to getting there and seeing what cars show up and getting to talk to the owners and hearing their backstory. So, yeah,
let's go.
Absolutely.
Well, fellas, I won't take up any more of your night. Thank you so much for coming on here and telling your story. And
thank you.
I think they're going to be great events.
Yes,
and,
thank you.
Hopefully, many, many more to come in the future.
I'm hoping so.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.